Hello, welcome. So today we got some posts from r/AmITheEx. We have controlling, we have manipulation, we have deadbeat dads, we have a man that refuses to recognize his wife's culture. We've got it all today. And if I sound like I'm going a little bit crazy reading these, it's because I am. I think I lost brain cells today reading these. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. So this one's from r/AmITheEx, and the title says, "Husband wants to divorce and start over. Says he can't bond with our daughter. Throwaway because I want to fix this and I'm paranoid about more people in our lives finding out. It's also effed up already. I don't want more stress. My husband, 29M, and I, 30NB, have been married for 5 years. I gave birth to our first child in September, a girl. My husband was present for the most of my labour, but things went very pear-shaped and I had to have an emergency C-section. The doctors told him to leave the room and wait outside. In short, he did not see our daughter being born. Honestly, I don't see the problem here so far. It's very regular and very common for this to happen. Happened to my sister, like emergency C-section. So I struggle to find an issue yet. I'm sure the OP will fill us in though. A week ago, he informed me that he wants to divorce and start over on his dreams of having a family. He insists that he cannot bond with our daughter and says it's because he didn't see her being born. He said a lot about how it's always been a dream of his to have a small, close-knit family, and now he can't have that with me because of the C-section, and his not being in the room. I don't see why. I wonder if Dad's just trying to use this as an excuse. I'm wondering if maybe there is an affair going on, or Dad just actually didn't want to be a parent in the first place and is now like, oh, here's my out, you know? His dad suggested therapy, but husband refused, saying he knew it wouldn't work. I've made sure he knows I'm open to the idea if he changes his mind, but he's been very insistent. He knows this can't be fixed. Part of me knows I'm basically asking for a magic spell here, but does anyone have any ideas how, if, this can be fixed? I'll try to answer any questions anyone may have. Sorry if the flare isn't correct, I just guessed. Honestly, I don't understand the flares. On half of these Reddit subreddits, someone who's been reading it for like a good few years as well, reading things on there, I don't get the flares half the time. So I wouldn't worry about that. I don't think many do. I think most people just guess. And then down in the comments, this deleted user says, "Nothing to fix, the trash took himself out. Yeah, here. It's always sad to see someone cling to a relationship when they've been treated this poorly. It's much nicer to see my husband can't bond with our daughter because she was born via C-section, so I'm leaving his ass." Honestly, he probably just hates being a father and wanted a convenient excuse. And then unicorn. I'm sorry, I had to read it like that. Honestly, he probably just hates being a father and wanted a convenient excuse. Yeah, and his excuse is the exact thing a person in this situation would use to try and weasel out while trying to take no fault. I don't like being a parent, must be my wife and child's fault. Yeah, very much so. Either way, the husband is an absolute cretin for doing this. Like, the OP is also very new to being a parent, yet they're now going to have to do it all alone. Like, this makes no sense. You don't need to be in the room when they are born. They are your DNA and your flesh and blood. It shouldn't matter how they come into the world. What should matter is that they're there and they need you. Look at the amount of women that have to have an emergency C-section and are put under a general anaesthetic. Like, there's a few people I know that have had to have that. One was my old boss. She had to have a general anaesthetic to have her son because of complications, and they needed them out quick and didn't have time to wait for the spinal tap to work. So it happens. So even the mum could not be conscious and, cognitively present to see them being born. But the mum would still have to do everything in that case. So yeah. This is bollocks. Now, don't get me wrong, do I think that not seeing your child be born could be traumatic? Of course it could. And it could take a little bit of therapy to get over that initial feel of loss that you weren't allowed or able to see that. However, That should never get in your way of parenting again, because that is literally your DNA. That is your DNA sitting there squealing in a cot. Like, that should take precedent over the fact that you didn't get to view them being spat out the bloody boot or the sunroof, you know? And then Basic Bitchette says, I'm going to fight for our relationship. Yeah, you can't force someone to love you. I don't think that's what they mean. I think that they obviously think that maybe their husband is having a little bit of a breakdown and they want to try and get past it, hence why they suggested therapy. And then the deleted user says, that baby is brand new. They're a first-time parent. Of course they're going to try to salvage the relationship. And isn't there a tiny shred of possibility that dad is also kind of freaking out about becoming a parent? Exactly. Like, I don't think fighting for relationships when the other person is a massive knobhead, you've got no attachments, you're not married, you don't live together, there's nothing you lose from just going, do you know what, this is too much, see you later. I think then it's like, no, why fight for something that's crap? But up until now, as far as the OP has said, there's been no problems. This is all of a sudden come on out of nowhere. So of course they're going to think first and foremost, there may be something deeper here. There may be that my husband is just freaking out a little bit and we need to try and move past this initial shock or whatever. And now aren't you a lucky ducky, because I have the update. I do love a good update. I love it. So this is probably going to be long and it isn't a happy update. My other posts can be seen in my post history, but the short of it is that I, 30, NB, gave birth to my daughter in September. My soon-to-be ex-husband, 29M, did not see her birth. Things went very badly, and I needed emergency intervention. I do wonder if the OP was even conscious for this, by the way, because again, a lot of emergency C-sections, they just outright knock the mother out because they don't have the time to faff trying to numb them enough to do the surgery. He was not in the room for the C-section. About a month and a half ago, he informed me that he cannot bond with her because he did not see her be born, and he wants to divorce so he can start over on his dreams of a close-knit family. Now, put yourself in the OP's shoes here. Can you imagine how much that would hurt to hear that be used? That sentence of, I want to get rid of you and basically throw you away so I can start over with somebody else. That would mess you up, wouldn't it? Like, that'd be like a dagger to the heart. We have filed, I have taken daughter and moved back in with my parents, who aren't very happy about the divorce, but are thrilled to have the chance to nanny daughter. Their words, not mine. Ah, that's nice. That's at least a little positive in this absolute poo storm of a situation. Life was in stasis for about a week after my last post until father-in-law asked us to come over for dinner. He informed me that soon-to-be ex had asked for his help paying for a lawyer. Cheeky sod. He had agreed with the requirement that we all sit down and have one last talk about the situation. He opened with saying that he thinks that getting this over with would be the best for me and my daughter. Soon-to-be ex looked a little hurt at this. Good. So he was willing to help, but he wanted to take one last shot at fixing it. The one last shot ended up being several hours of talking. Father-in-law bluntly demanded that soon-to-be ex explained his reasoning. Soon-to-be ex repeated that can't bond thing. Father-in-law asked, why? The employment contract analogy was brought up again. I'm wondering if we've missed a post because I didn't see that in the other one. After much back and forth, what do you mean by this? Why that? Father-in-law just said, I'm not buying this. What's the real reason, soon-to-be ex? What on earth does the employment contract analogy mean? I don't understand. How is an employment contract also anything like having a kid? This guy's an idiot. Soon-to-be ex insisted till the end that what he'd been saying all along was his reasoning. He did not see his daughter be born, so he cannot bond. He tried. He insisted. The connection isn't there. He was supposed to connect when daughter was born. There was supposed to be a spark of connection between them. But that spark can only happen right at birth, I guess. In his mind, he can't get it now. What a load of crap. Honestly, Do you know, it's quite funny actually, because even mothers don't immediately bond with their kids at birth. You've been through so much, quite often you're looking at this kid like, what the friggin' hell is this thing? Like, there is a bit of a sometimes a waiting period to get that bond. The initial bond just doesn't come on like a little brick wall. You don't all of a sudden like have a kid and then it's like, bam, bonded for life. As with any other living creature on this planet, you have to work for that bond. It doesn't come ridiculously naturally to everybody. Sometimes it takes a little time. Sometimes you're in a bit of shock and you need to actually realize that, oh my God, this living thing is here and it lives with me now. You know? I think this pressure to have this automatic bond with your kid is obviously, clearly, very toxic. It doesn't come naturally all the time. You need a little time, and there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're looking after it and making sure that it's healthy, what's the problem? Don't rush it. It will come. Father-in-law asked if soon-to-be-ex thought daughter wasn't his. Soon-to-be-ex insists he has no doubts he is daughter's biological father. Father-in-law asked if soon-to-be-ex was seeing someone else. Was there a woman? Another pregnancy somewhere? Soon-to-be-ex did not react well to this. He threw his phone down on the table and said we were free to search it. He's not a scumbag. Yeah, you are. But you are though, aren't you? You really are. You're about to completely ditch your kid forever because, what? It didn't happen like it does in the fairy tales? Like, what's wrong with you? After that, the conversation turned to post-divorce life. Soon-to-be-ex offered up that he'd be running the numbers and would volunteer £50 monthly, or $50 I suppose maybe, monthly in alimony and $50 a month in child support. Is he taking the piss? He doesn't have to do either, mind, because we're divorcing and he wants to cut all ties with the kid. That's not how the law will see it. But he wants to be fair. Sure he does. Oh, what an absolute dickwad. $50 in alimony? Whatever. I have a job and a roof over our heads. I don't need it. $50 in child support? That is a lot less. Whatever. But I'm refusing to stress about it. The court will handle child support amounts. I'm making myself not be angry and let them deal with it. Yeah, definitely. And I have a feeling that the courts are going to have his pants down, so I wouldn't worry too much. Honestly, what a scumbag. Alimony, yeah, I think it's stupid. I'm not going to lie. I think alimony is the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever heard. If you're leaving the relationship, the other person should not have to pay for you to live. No, I don't agree with that. If you're leaving a marriage, I don't agree with it. I think it's rubbish. Other people might disagree. That is on you. Child support, however, I couldn't care less why you're leaving. The other the parent who won't be having, you know, primary custody of the kid should be paying child support no matter what. Because, you know, OP didn't get themselves preggers, did they? I admit, I tuned out most of the rest of father-in-law's attempts to talk sense into his son after that comment. I think that was when the coffin finally nailed itself shut. I started packing. When we got home, I went to my parents' house the next day. I am no longer talking to soon-to-be-ex. His lawyer talks to mine. We haven't spoken in almost 3 weeks. I don't think I need to tell you that he hasn't shown any concern for our daughter, but here I am anyway. The day after I got there, my sister kidnapped me to her place. We got very drunk. Daughter was with parents, not us. Talked about everything, and I screamed a lot. I got most of it out of my system. After that, we had more drinks and watched terrible horror movies. I woke up the next day with the headache from hell, but otherwise feeling better than I had in a long time. Yeah, it sounds like you really needed that. My job can't transfer me, just my luck, but I've been promised a glowing reference and I'm cashing out what little paid leave I have left to add to my savings. Father-in-law asked after the failed conversation if I would be cutting him off. I assured him that he might not see us as much because of how far away my parents live and not knowing where I'll end up, but he's not getting rid of me or daughter that easily. He was very happy to hear that. So that's where I am. Papers have been filed. Daughter and I have moved out of the house. I'm doing my best to ignore soon-to-be-ex's existence. Thank you all again for listening to me cry and complain over the last couple months. Honestly, what piece of shit that guy is. Absolute turd in a burger. Disgusting. Like, it's not even like this was an unexpected pregnancy either. Like, I assume from the way that OP has spoke, they planned this, and now he's decided to go, well, I didn't get to be there, so I'm throwing the epicest tantrum of all time. Ugh, dumbass. So down in the comments, Jasper Jamboree says he's only offering $50 in alimony and $50 in child support monthly. GTFO, that wouldn't even cover diapers and wipes for the whole month. And then Ali McCraw says, this guy is going to be very shocked when a judge rules on this and tells him how much he's going to be paying by statute. Yeah, he's going to be crying. Good. You Can't Seem to Forget says, I'm willing to bet once he hears that number, he'll want to try and bond with his daughter and mend his marriage. Too little, too late. Yeah, do you know? Probably. I have a feeling he just doesn't want any financial responsibilities. He wants to go and be a lad, you know? He wants to go and wave his sausage around in areas it doesn't and shouldn't be, but there we are. Good luck to him, because he's going to need it. And I don't even feel like I need to say good luck to OP, because I think OP is very well covered by their family. So that is really good and positive. Next post, and trigger warning for whatever this bullshit is. Am I the butthole for making my boyfriend cut off his lifelong friend, and now he's blaming me because she died? Excuse me? What? My boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years now. He had this childhood friend that he was extremely close with. They were attached at the hip, vacationed together, had holidays together. When I met them, I originally thought they were together, but he assured me they were incompatible, so no, they are just friends. So we started dating. But he kept prioritizing her over me. He would tell her everything, text her every day, and kept mentioning her. I told him it made me feel lesser than and insecure. I didn't like how close he is to her. After some arguing and pleading, he agreed that he was putting me second, said he'll talk to her and tell her he wants to focus on us. After that, their interactions stopped. I'm not being funny, but you knew how close these people were before you even got with him. Like, you even thought they were together. So, if that was going to be a problem, why did you get with him? A week ago, one of their friends texted him to let him know that she had uterine cancer and died a few hours ago. My boyfriend became a completely different person after that. He became kind of manic. Yeah, because his best friend from childhood has just died. What do you expect? He ran to meet with their friends, demanded to know who was handling her funeral and apartment and possessions. She had no family left, so they were thinking of splitting the responsibility. He strung on them into letting him help. They relented. The next thing I know, he's spending every day in her apartment. He took time off work and just spent hours in there. I got worried, so I asked his friends for her address and went to check on him. Yeah, I think he's feeling really super guilty, isn't he? That he wasn't there for her and didn't know that this was going on because you had stopped him from having communication with his friend. I thought he was packing up her stuff and throwing things out, cleaning, but he wasn't. Instead, he was going through her things, reading her journals. Apparently, she's been journaling since she was small. He even began trashing her apartment to find her laptop password. He claims that she had trouble remembering stuff like that, so she would write them down and stash them around the apartment in little hiding places, and he knows the password is around somewhere. Yeah, like, clearly the OP's fella is not really taking this very well at all. It is definitely a little bit extreme to be, like, pulling the apartment apart to try and find the password and what have you. I have a feeling this is his desperate attempt to try and claw back and reconnect over the however long it was that they were not friends for or speaking because of the OP. That's just my guess, though, from an outside perspective looking in. I don't know, but yeah, I think they're feeling really guilty and they're wanting to try and find a way to make up for those however long it was of connection. A couple of years, probably. You know, cancer takes a little while to take hold and take someone. Usually, obviously, I know there are exceptions to the rule on that one. But usually it's like a couple years or at least a year of the progression, isn't it, before it takes someone if it's bad. Yeah, I think maybe the OP's fella is really like not having a great time right now and needs a support. And I feel like he's not going to get it, unfortunately. I had it when he started asking me if I can call Best Buy and see if their Geek Squad will unlock the laptop for him. I started begging him to stop and just to take a moment and just stop. I tried telling him how crazy he was acting. He blew up on me, started yelling at me, screaming about how all this was my fault, about how none of this would have happened if I just let him keep hanging out. How he read her journals and how he knows the reasons why she stopped talking to him because he told her I was feeling insecure, and how she tried reaching out when she got diagnosed and called to see if he wanted to do dinner. He cornered me and asked me if I remember throwing a bitch fit at her invitation and begged him not to go. So he declined by telling her that I wasn't comfortable with them hanging out anymore, and then just disappeared after that. Apparently, she took that to mean no contact ever and just kept her cancer diagnosis hidden from him. She even asked their friends not to tell him, and they respected her wishes. And because he was respecting my selfish wishes, he wasn't there for her and she died alone. Next thing I know, he was throwing me out of her apartment, telling me to never go there again. He doesn't want me in her space. He needs time and he won't be going home for a while. I'm so confused and hurt. I don't know what to do. Was this really all my fault? Yes and no, you can't help that they died. But you did throw massive bitch fits, knowing when you went into the relationship that these two people had a very close relationship, that they had been friends since and best friends since they were kids, and you actively stopped him from seeing his best friend. And now this has happened. You couldn't know that she was going to die. However, because of your actions, he wasn't able to be there for his absolute best friend ever in her time of need. And now he probably feels like you were the devil, unfortunately. But you brought that on yourself by being controlling and weird. Edit, stop telling me my relationship is over. I mean, I would agree that it probably is. My boyfriend only asked for time and has never mentioned breaking up. We are together in every sense of the word. We live together, both our names are on the lease, we pay bills together, we have a life together. We are not breaking up. That is not for you to decide, OP. If this guy wants to be done with you now, then they can be if they want. And then down in the comments, Notorious Crone says, everyone is ripping the OP a new one in the original post over being insecure, but this part, he agreed that he was putting me second, shows that she had some reason to be insecure. Had she written before the friend died, Reddit would have told her she had every right to be upset that her boyfriend was having an emotional affair with the friend. But he wasn't, though. They had that relationship before they were before they got together, before him and OP were in a relationship. Him and his friend had a very close bonded friendship already. And I think the only reason he said he agreed that he was putting her second is because the OP probably dogged on him about it constantly. So he's gone, do you know what? Just to make life easier. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm putting you second, blah, blah, blah. I don't agree with this comment at all. And also, we're getting this from the OP's perspective, the person who stopped him having a friendship in the first place. I'm not sure I trust the source that would be that controlling. But because the friend died, she has become the villain in the story. The boyfriend is the real villain here. He could have set some reasonable boundaries and kept the friendship, but he had to be all or nothing. It's just easier to blame OP than live with the guilt. Honestly, I think OP will be better off without the boyfriend. That dude is going to carry a Severus Snape-sized torch for this dead friend from now on. No, I disagree. I really disagree. Now, I might be missing something, so feel free to disagree with me here, but I've been in a relationship before where I've had male friends and the person who I was with kicked off constantly. It was constant kickoffs every time they text me, every time we spoke, every time we did anything, like with me and my friend. They would kick off. So it got to the point where you just give up. You're just like, do you know what? I just won't see them at all. Because even a small text message, literally going for a coffee for 20 minutes, ended in an argument. And I don't think that's what this commenter is taking into perspective here. We are only getting the OP's perspective. And the boyfriend there at the end had actually said to her, do you remember kicking off when she sent an invitation for us to go for dinner? And you kicked off, so I said I wasn't going to go. Do you see what I mean? Like, I genuinely don't think the boyfriend's in the wrong here. If you ask me, I think they're very controlling. And again, they came into the relationship knowing that the boyfriend had this kind of friendship. Don't get her in a relationship with somebody if you can't handle the friendships that they have. It's not fair and it's not nice, and you shouldn't be controlling people like that. And then introvert Hufflepuff 8 says, to add to your point, I wonder how respectful the friend was of their relationship and how that fueled the insecurity she had. Well, the friend backed off. The friend backed right off, in fact, to the point they thought that, OP's boyfriend didn't want anything to do with her anymore, and she'd never pushed it again after sending that initial invitation to share her cancer diagnosis. So I don't agree. They certainly sound justified based on her boyfriend's reaction to her death. Yeah, I mean, like I say, the boyfriend's reaction was a bit over the top, but their friend's dead. Their friend that they basically treated like a family member since they were a kid. How would you react? Do you know what I mean? I think the OP's the twat here, but, feel free to disagree. Next post, my M32 fiance F32 suddenly doesn't want to marry me anymore because of a disagreement we had a year ago. What now? Hi everyone, I've been with my fiancée Lola for almost 7 years now, and we've been engaged for 2 of those years. We have twins together, M and F, 3, and I thought we were happy. About a year ago, we had a small disagreement about how she was raising our kids, but after receiving some feedback from Reddit, I was able to see that I was in the wrong and I was being incredibly offensive towards my wife. This was on a different account that I lost the info for, but everyone was helpful, so thanks again. Could we not have a little more information on that, please? I apologised and she seemed to accept my apology, and I thought things were back to normal. After all of that, she seemed to be her normal self again, and we didn't disagree about that topic anymore. In fact, we hadn't even had a minor disagreement for months after that. I thought we were happy. Well, we were originally planning to get married last year, October 2023, but she ended up changing her mind and saying she wanted to push back the wedding a bit. I was a bit confused and she wouldn't really elaborate on why. She just said it was stressful to plan a wedding with the toddlers and she needed some time, so I agreed. Well, she just dropped a bomb on me out of nowhere a few days ago when she randomly stated that she didn't think she wants to get married anymore. This was heartbreaking to hear, of course, and I asked that we sit and talk it out. She ended up telling me that she doesn't think we are compatible after 7 years, and that she thinks we should go our own way and co-parent. I'm devastated. I pressed for more information, like what made you realise this and why now, and she basically said that she felt like I didn't really know her and that I didn't want to know her. I thought this was ridiculous. I know everything about her. I know her favourite colour, movie and song. I know her favourite food. I can read her body language extremely well. I do know her. We've been together for years. She said a few more things, and apparently she's been overthinking our relationship since that fight had happened a year ago. She said it was eye-opening for her, and that when I let her see the post and she looked through all the comments, she realised things about me that she had swept under the rug for years and blown off as one-time issues. She went on a whole spiel about all these things she had realised about me and how she didn't think that we should be together anymore. I don't even know what she means. I think I zoned out for the most of her rant because I was so blindsided and hurt by this that I was trying not to break down in tears. I offered to go to a couples counselling and individual counselling, but she said it was too late and that I should have offered that a year ago when this all blew up. I don't even know what to do now, and I think it's a bit unfair for her to put all of that on me. Just because I didn't think of therapy after a minor disagreement a year ago, I'm no longer someone she wants to marry. That's insane. I don't know what to do. How can I get her to give me another chance to see that I still love her and that we can make this work? What can I say to make her change her mind? I'm so lost and I don't know what to do. Edit, I think it might be a good idea to make the original post with the details of our disagreement, as some people are asking for the details and accusing me of avoiding the question, so that the post can be found here. Edit, I feel that you have all given me a lot to think about and reflect on. Thank you. I will no longer be replying to comments. Okay, so now I'm going to have to go and find that flipping post, aren't I? It's definitely not in here. No, it's not. Okay. I'm sure I clicked on it and it didn't come up. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I've just searched and searched, and no, I definitely can't find it. I think the reason why is the original user has been deleted or the original post has been deleted. It's definitely not there, though. If it is, I can't flip and find it. So we'll just continue, and it was a disagreement over something to do with parenting. So let's be honest, it was probably something really stupid anyway. You know, when you're a parent, you argue over some of the daftest things when it comes to differences in parenting. Well, not argue, but you'll have disagreements over silly things. Um, so it could have been something really silly, it could have been something really big, but there we are. I can't find it, I'm afraid. Update, I tried to make this new post, but I couldn't get it to show up, so I think I might be doing something wrong. Hi everyone, this will likely be the last post I make about this situation as everyone seems to be final now. This one is made with my ex's permission and she will read it over beforehand as she thinks I am an unreliable narrator. Okay. First of all, we have broken up. She gave me back the ring even though I said she didn't have to and she could pawn it and keep the money. She didn't want to do that and gave it back to me. I think I will pawn it myself and give her the money since she has moved out of the house. She moved in with her brother and his partner, who was actually able to get her a job where he works, and she is apparently starting next week. We will split our time with the kids since she said she was able to get shifts that align with my schedule. I have a pretty flexible schedule, but I just prefer to work the same days times every week. So we will trade off the kids when each of us is at work, and we are going to split the weekends. We are going to get a custody agreement, but we talked about it and agreed 50-50, and we are both going to be cooperative as I don't want to stress her out, and I do want to see my kids. I will also be brushing up on Mexican culture so that I am able to participate in things with my children, and I am looking to take some Spanish classes as well so I can communicate with them in both languages. So I am then guessing that this had something to do with some sort of cultural way to upbring the kids, and OP isn't part of Mexican culture and was saying no, or something along those lines. I showed my wife the last post the day after I made it, and she read it over and read all my comments and a lot of the other comments. She took like 2 days to do this. My goodness, she was really getting in there, wasn't she? I don't blame her though, I don't at all. Afterwards, she said she wanted to talk to me and asked me if I was serious when I claimed that I thought she wanted to break up because of the one fight about the food. Okay, so again, more context. It was probably an argument about feeding the kids cultural food then, I suppose. Which, that's friggin' stupid, but okay. Like, wouldn't you want your kids to have a wider palate? Like, I don't get it, but okay. I'm glad I continued reading because I was actually going to delete this part of the recording because I was like, well, it's annoying me that I don't know the context of the first argument, so it's going to annoy everybody else. So now we have the context. I like that. I said yes because I was serious and did think that, and she said that she couldn't believe me. I asked her to elaborate and she got very mad and asked me if I was really so oblivious to my own actions. I realised that I probably have been oblivious to my own actions and that I've been selfish, and she kind of blew up and said something and asked me if I needed an effing list so I could see all the shite I've been doing. I told her I would appreciate it if she could communicate some of the issues and there was no need for a list, but she said that a list would probably lessen the chances of me losing focus while she went on a rant. Ouch, but deserved. We ended up having a long talk about it, and she wanted me to include this in the post, so I will add it below. Good. Give us the goss. That sounds so bad. Gossip to me about your divorce and horrible time in your life. Note that these are just things that happened since the fight about food. When one of our nieces had a quinceañera, I kept calling it a sweet 16. She said she explained to me multiple times that they were different, had different meanings, different cultural significance, and had different practices. She said I still called it a sweet 16 when I talked to people about it or mention it. She said I also embarrassed her at a party because she felt that I was making fun of how her relatives were dancing. Oh, I am really getting a picture now. So basically, OP's fella has married a Mexican woman and then been completely culturally insensitive about her culture, her background, and her cultural practices and norms and food, and basically shat all over it all. No wonder she wants to leave him. I, to this day, sometimes call her Spanish instead of Hispanic, Latina, Mexican. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She said there is a big difference, and me slipping up and forgetting it is BS. Yeah, it is. When she was pregnant with the twins, I told her she could give them names that are pronounced in Spanish so that her non English speaking family could say them easily, and also since they are half Mexican. We agreed that she could, so long as I could choose which names was final. She said that I have not held up on my end of the deal, and that when we were at Christmas with her friends and family in December, I obsessively corrected her family members when they pronounced our daughter's name Elena. Elena. So Eleanor. Elena. Eleanor? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am stupid. Please forgive me. And kept saying it, Lena. So, okay, so Elena over Elena. Okay, we're getting there slowly. Listen, I've had 1 cup of coffee today. Please give me some grace. I might go and get another one because clearly my brain cells need it. According to her, I did this more than 6 times that night and she stopped keeping count. Yeah, I mean, it's not the same at all in any way, but where I'm originally from, any names like Elliot, spelt with an E, we would say them like Alliot, as if they were spelt with an A. Whereas when I moved down here, I'm using Elliot as an example because I had a friend named Elliot. And when I came down here, I kept calling him Alliot because obviously that was what I was used to, and I wasn't trying to be insensitive. I was a kid. You know, I wasn't as tuned in to all of that stuff as I am now as an adult. So I kept calling him Elliot, and I couldn't get why he would always be like, Elliot, and I'd be like, but that's what I said. But I was a kid. Now as an adult, I make a concerted effort, despite the fact that I still have a bit of an accent from where I used to live. I make an effort to not do that because it's insensitive. And that's not even in a cultural way, because this is like, it's just a difference in area, if that makes sense. I'm not sure how you would explain that, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. Whereas this is literally this guy who I'm going to go out on a whim and guess is flaming white, because it's always the white people being culturally and racially insensitive, sitting there and basically shitting all over his wife's culture. And why? For why though? Because you're an adult. And a friggin' adult, you should be able to learn this. It is okay as an adult who's never been part of a culture to get things wrong at the start. But you've been married, and I assume for a good few years, considering you've got 3-year-olds together. Do you know what I mean? That is enough time to learn and really put in the effort. And even if you still get it wrong sometimes, I'm sure if you were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just realized I slipped up. I will say it again. It says like this, isn't it? I'm just double checking. This is how you say it. I'm so sorry for slipping up. People slip up. People make mistakes, you know? This seems like the OP is making an actual concerted effort to be friggin' insensitive. And that's not cool, especially when it is your own wife. I didn't let her feed our kids some Mexican stew she had made because it looked spicy. So my kids love spicy food. My youngest has been eating like super spicy food since they were really, really small, because I like spicy food and they demand to eat what I eat, or at least try it. Kids are not made of glass. They can have spicy food. If they don't like it, just don't give it them again. I genuinely thought it was. She said she told me she hadn't used any spicy peppers, but that night I fed them something else before the soup was done, and she said I disrespected her and her parenting skills. She feels like she is not allowed to listen to her music, any Spanish music, because I will complain or change the song. She said she can only listen to her music when I am not home, otherwise I will always change it within a few seconds. She said that there were other small examples, but these are the bigger ones that she had already mentioned, brought up before, and nothing had changed. When I asked her why she stayed with me for so long, or why she didn't mention these things more, I'll bet my ass she did, she said that she always had low self-esteem, and that she thought that I was a good partner, other than these things, so she always talked herself out of a breakup. But she was just over it now. Yeah, she's seen the light and she wants naught to do with it anymore, my friend. The things she listed off really opened my eyes and made me realize how selfish and unaware I've been, and I know that I need to change. I apologized to her, and I know it won't change her mind, but that's okay. I just wanted to know that I do regret my actions. I'm not going to ignore her or grey rock her like some people were suggesting, as I want to remain amicable for our children. Why would you need to do that? You're the one who effed up. I want us to have good communication, as I don't want our kids to grow up with parents who hate each other and can't have a simple conversation. Thank you to everyone who left comments, especially the ones who were harsh. I also want to correct a typo in my last post where I said we were going to get married October 2023. It should have read October 2022. Yeah, I completely think that the OP's missus is well within her rights and completely correct in leaving him, because she has tried and tried again to make him see it from her side and just be a little less insensitive, and they can't even do that. So I think that the OP's missus is doing the right thing. Clearly, OP is a wee bit racist. Like, they might not think they are, but I feel like they are a little bit. Like, they don't even realize that they are, because why else would you do those things to really try and put down all aspects of your wife's culture? And then down in the comments, the OP actually quotes themselves and says, I think I zoned out for most of her rant, and then put, I think this might be some of the problem. Oh, no shit, Sherlock. And Terpscurian Wombat, I know I said that one wrong. Classic missing reasons, yada yada, over the explicitly expressed problems and try to make it sound ridiculous by claiming it's all from one little argument a year ago, the topic of which couldn't possibly be important. And then Demon Queen Sage says, also notice how he never lets us know what the fight over a year ago was really about, but calls it a minor fight, so we think it's not a big deal. He conveniently lost the login info of that account where he got advice for that fight, plausible but awfully convenient. So we can't go back to look at the post history to see it, and he doesn't ever say what it was here. So we can't use it to judge how badly he's lying about that now. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if OP is being purposefully insensitive about her Mexican culture, but it does have a lot of racist undertones. The way that they call her Spanish rather than Mexican, Latina, because a Spanish person and a Mexican person are two entirely different people from two entirely different cultures and countries, It's very insensitive, being insensitive about the food, keep calling a quinceañera a sweet 16. They are not the fucking same thing. One is a cultural thing. I don't understand it. I don't know much about it because I don't know much about Mexican culture, being from the middle of nowhere in the UK. Funnily enough, I've never really come across Mexican culture, so I don't know much about it, but I know enough to know that it has cultural significance to Mexican people, And if I can tell that, again, from the middle of the UK countryside, I am sure that this guy, having been married to this woman and together with her for years, could have figured it out by now. It's willful ignorance. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there today. I am going slightly nuts reading these. These ones have annoyed me today a lot. Yeah, anyway, other than that, I hope you enjoyed. If you made it all the way to the end, then I do appreciate you very, very much. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate you even more. And then that way you can find your way back here, which is always good because, you can listen to more then. I'm going to get off and go and get that coffee so I can wake my brain up. Goodbye.